think of iconic images of London, there are many certain things, are there not? Big Ben, for instance, London black cabs, Buckingham Palace. But if you go back to anyone's house who's been on holiday to London or indeed our wonderful United Kingdom, normally they pick up these little trinkets, don't they? It can be a Blackpool Tower, a lifeboat, and more so, a London red telephone kiosk, a magnetic thing. You know, you see them on the fridges. But what makes these so iconic for London? Today, join me on a very short trip as we take you through a potted history of some of the most iconic images that we currently have and still remain around the world. The original telephone box, the K1 or kiosk number 1, first appeared on British streets in May 1921. And there were only two left on our streets right now, one in Trinity Square upon Kingston upon Hull and the other in Bembridge on the Isle of Wight. They are Grade 2 listed by Historic England. But the iconic red telephone box that is recognised the world over was initially designed by Giles Gilbert Scott after winning a design competition in 1924. The K2, as it's officially known, was already destined for a timely demise. Maybe that's because he modelled it on Sir John Sloane's 1815 mausoleum for his deceased wife. Well, it could have something to do with it, right? Now, as you can imagine, with everything to do with Britishness, it had a royal connection because in 1935, for the coronation of King George V, he commissioned 19,000 of these very iconic red telephone boxes because there was such a raft of people now wishing to make telephone communications. Up until that point, you see, in the 1920s, there hadn't really been that much. I mean, let's face it, who knew anybody with a phone? In fact, if you think about it, right through to the 1970s, people really didn't own their own home phone. It's now, of course, the mobile phone age, and many of these iconic boxes are simply now defunct. But there is some hope at the end of a very bleak horizon. As ever, let me explain. Now, as much as we love those red phone boxes, they're not necessarily everywhere in the United Kingdom. Oh no, can you guess where they're not actually red? It's a starter for three, as they say. On a more serious note, there's a beautiful area on the east coast of Yorkshire, Kingston upon Hull. And it's a wonderful place. You can get to many coastal resorts from Kingston upon Hull, like Whitby, Filey, Hornsey, Bridlington, Scarborough. But they're slightly different in Hull, not because they think they're posher, but they don't have red phone boxes. They have cream phone boxes. And this is simply because the post office, when they were issuing those particular documents, they didn't have the monopoly for that particular area. So they decided to go with cream. And also a little interesting fact, you won't see the crowns on top of those cream phone boxes either. Strange thing. You may find one though if you live in the area of Arizona. One cream phone box, which was currently just abandoned, has found its way there. You see, you never know where Britain may just land. You know, when you're an international pop icon and you want to sell your brand around the world, we see things like the British red telephone box pop up in all sorts of paraphernalia. Most recently, of course, in Spice World, the movie, mega hit for the Spice Girls. But there was one man who truly started it all off, way back, of course, in the 1970s. He was known to many as Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars. And this particular album cover, which sees David Bowie emerging from said iconic red telephone box, is based in Hedden Street in Soho, very near to where the recording studio where he was working. He was in costume, going along for a concert, and they thought this is a great idea for a picture. It then became literally very, very iconic, and the original prints for this sell for thousands of pounds. You see, A flash moment can mean it could be a money-making moment. A little bit like this one. No, really? It's sad to say, isn't it, that we now live in a digital world, and it appears like so many things of yesteryear, they're going to be consigned forever to the historical dustbin. Or are they? You see, the reimagined red telephone boxes now are popping up wherever you can look. In fact, up in Settle in North Yorkshire, one's one of the smallest art galleries in the world. Many others have popped up as coffee shops in places like Brighton or Eastbourne. And many other people now can actually buy disused red telephone boxes, which you can see in people's back gardens up and down the country. But why does it still remain such a strong symbol? Well, over here in the very heart of London, I've been told that the reason why we still have them on the streets is that so many tourists just simply want to have their picture taken inside this iconic look. Even though many of the phone boxes now are not connected, because quite frankly, who really uses them? Everybody's got a mobile phone, an iPad, WhatsApp. There's other ways now of communicating. But way back, oh yes, as it exploded in 1935, this truly was the best way to make your communication. And more importantly, on top of all of that, you were very proud to say you were able to phone someone. Now, when you think about it, the rich have always had their own communications. Think about Mr. Hudson making that phone call in Upstairs Downstairs. But what these boxes did was bring communication to the masses. Some people say that's a good thing, some people not. As ever though, I'd love to know your thoughts on what you feel about these wonderful, iconic institutions. Do you love a red phone box? Or would you not be bothered if you never saw them on the streets again? As ever, do let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And please, if you've enjoyed this historical video, do like and share. Neil Sean, Parliament Square, in the very heart of London.